on the side.
We're recording.
Okay. All right, so we are reconvening at 6:27. We are calling to order this workshop of the North Whidbey Pool Park and Recreation District. The date is Wednesday, May 1st. The time is 6:06 p.m. Present, we have Commissioner Hoffmeyer, Commissioner Hardin, Commissioner Hawley, Commissioner Shingleton.
Commissioner terminology, supervisor or department head, and yes, it was used kind of interchangeably, and I talked to Rex about it. We decided what we'd like to do is just delete all of the department head references and just go with supervisor throughout the document.
So we have two items on the agenda.
Commissioner Shingleton wanted an org chart in there.
So I just kind of want to take a little witness here because the original intention was not for this to be an actual meeting. We decided we agreed to this forum rather than decisions would be made. I would just put a placeholder. And I don't know, I know that I missed last month's meeting, and so I think even if just first time somebody looks at it as comfortable having the discussion in number 2, so budget requirements for converting interim director for the rest of the fiscal year. Are we comfortable having that discussion tonight? Even though it's not intentional where we said we were going to do. I think somewhere there's just a chapter that includes, so I think, and I read, and so I'm not trying to get ahead, but we all. Right, I mean, I don't think so unless you all came to some other agreement. Thank you for doing it. So if we feel more than that, and so for I think what other purposes, I know maybe not all if we want to have interested, but I think one thing that we actually we could do it now, and some of them have because I think we have no idea how things work, which is you could say, well, maybe it doesn't matter. Okay, maybe it doesn't. We're going to be going through lots of between us and the employees. I think needs to be visible to them. And so that an org chart does that. But I think the other thing that is, and I think they need to understand that we're elected get this discussion if we're going to have a discussion about it. Volunteer public officials. Now, and then I think the RCWs that relate to the forming of a special purpose district. Like I think how does everybody just? I think it's probably a page, but this just talks about
absolutely can rearrange the agenda to start with
what we exist as, right? Because and get that out of the way. Some of our employees might think this too, but what happens with a lot of people is they go, well, I'm okay. Are there handouts for us? Is that what you're doing, or is that unrelated to this? Or well, I'm going to talk to the team. Okay, nope. And so I think the idea here is and we directly budgeted for a full director's salary, and hopefully to promote a little more understanding of what it is that we are commensurate with what somebody just wants to come in and be like, I know that, but an understanding of the bigger picture, I think, is not bad.
55 or 63 or what was that?
I think it was 50. It was 58.
Any recommended changes?
Yeah, I don't think that our scale.
If you want to add to it, I did an initial straw man of what I thought you were asking for, and now it's a lot more than I thought.
I don't think it's. I mean, we. Okay, so how is this conducted in the levy? So it's probably not, and I could access that very easily. It's again, part of it is trying to tie what everyone does to what we do. Do you believe? So here's what I'm uninformed about, and I apologize to anybody if it's taking us. The other thing if it's unproductive time, change in the introduction is there? I would take out the word okay to do that, or is there a need for a decision to be made sooner than that? That's what I think we need to figure out.
Didn't like it either.
And if there is, then we do one of two things. We either say we're going to talk about it right now, and then we'll decide what we need to decide, or what and that also would include what other information
do we want
to gather, whoever needs to do it, to make that decision. I would call it recreation programming.
Oh, okay.
Or I mean that's so I'm trying to not just say, well, gee, our way should be to push it off. Our patrons meeting. I'm just trying to honor the fact that we need
maybe programs instead of programming,
even as it relates to this. Let's do a program, sure. Meaning, and when I say this, I mean the employee manual. Sorry.
Oh, one question I had about the introduction.
So if we want to, if we're ready to have part of the discussion, that's okay. I mean,
and the Cloverleaf ball.
I mean, if everybody else is okay with that.
Ball fields and Opry Scout Park sound to me with the "and" in there sounds like they're not taxpayers. funding.
Yeah, I guess I.
Yes, they know, I know.
So just take out that one.
Have you looked at how it's gonna impact the budget? Is it, if you go full-time
Pool and the Clover Valley
at
Ball,
the,
blah, 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 taxpayer, all taxpayer supported facilities.
is it gonna cost
Okay,
more than
operates
what was already in the
the-
budget, or is it gonna be less? Pool and the Clover
because
Valley
you've
Ball
only
have
been
been
part-time
part-time for all taxpayers, half-time, whatever you wanna call it, for the first 4 months, the first quarter of the year.
Taxpayers.
So have you looked at those numbers?
Supported.
Yeah.
You know, cover what you
So on the, our patrons enjoy a multitude of recreational programs.
We're just gonna go programs.
I think with, learned during the levy, especially during the closure, that it was.
Can I get with you and talk?
I don't want to be overly
Because I thought we were
complicated,
taking it,
but-
we're just gonna like, we feel comfortable that we have what we need to move forward at the next meetings. Is that
It
fair?
was,
Is that
but
a
it's
good-
like,
is that a
if we
good
just
enough
say enjoy a
action?
multitude of programs for people of all ages to enhance their fitness and health, does that meet your,
I think so.
okay.
There's a North Whidbey Pool Park,
okay.
comma, and Recreation District.
Cool.
There is an Oxford comma in there.
All right.
It was actually part of our.
All right, well, that sounds good then. All right, then we'll
we,
do that. We'll take this offline for right now.
I think the thing,
Okay.
Getting, it doesn't matter. We
Well, I
can
work on
put
Friday, so it'll have to be
commas
tomorrow.
after the second one.
I mean, so unless you
It's a-
want
it's a
to meet
standard-
really early
I
or
mean, it's
really
a-
late,
it's a
standard.
I learned it one way. Will it be okay if it's not decided
changed.
until the, whatever? And I thought it was, I maybe had to put it in, and that
16.
now
It is an
don't
early
put it
one.
in with 3
So
things.
16.
You only put
Is
one.
that
The Oxford comma is still standard. That's what it's called.
Yes, I think if we get,
Well, if we get the information that we need to make a decision. Yeah.
all right, so we will put a placeholder for the
Okay.
organizational
Yeah,
chart.
it's not gonna
here in
drag it into
purpose and
June.
scope.
I mean, so if
Beginning, is that where, or did you want us to go around?
you know what, let me think on that.
And who did we, sorry, I'm back here
backing up
somewhere,
a minute.
are the district values?
You
said it was Commissioner
again,
Hoffmeister
I think some of it
Yes.
is
Okay,
to.
just wanted to make sure,
You know,
since this is
probably
some of
a
this is to explain
substantive part
policies, and
that
some of it
will
is to
require
introduce
our
our
employees to who we are, who we think the district is.
basically
So, yeah, I mean, our values should matter.
Discussed it.
Don't the
Yeah.
values,
I'm gonna meet with him, we're gonna put it on the May meeting thing.
I-
Well, our
absolutely.
policies change.
Cool. All right.
Okay, so, I mean, what's the difference?
The
Okay.
policies actually
I
stay
think,
pretty
you
much
know,
the same for a
I'm
long
unclear if
time.
there's a burning
So
platform, and if there
our
is,
values
then
have
we
been
need
the
to
same
do
for
that.
2 decades.
And that's, you know,
Or something
that's
thereof.
that's
And
our
so,
job.
I mean, our values should not change all the
But
time.
I can only know that if you
I just
tell me
know
that.
Didn't we vote?
And what I've heard is
No, and I'm just wondering when the next board
maybe
will vote
not
on it.
burning.
What I want to avoid is having
I see
something in
numbers.
this document.
Yeah,
that-
right. Yeah, that's, we can smell some
overtaken
smoke,
by
but,
events fairly
but you're not
rapidly.
engulfed in flames just yet. Well, there are other Thank things you.
in this document that
All right,
certainly
and
could be true for as well.
so we
I-
are
I
going to
believe
start
that-
now with the
I believe that our values belong
employee
in there.
handbook.
Okay.
I mean, I believe
And
that. If not, I
do
would
we
have
ask
copies of it.
where they belong.
Do we have
How
copies
do
of
we
the
introduce
updated-
employees to them? And what's the, you know,
No,
what's
because
the
we were
education
gonna
plan
go
that
with
includes
the
that?
one everybody had.
I see where you're coming from.
The one that you still
I
have.
wonder if.
Yes.
Right, but the whole point of us giving you,
Yeah.
sorry, I'm
But one
confused.
way,
The whole point of us giving you
past,
is you said you were gonna incorporate the changes.
And it seems
So-
like,
So literally now.
seems like they could end up in the bylaws.
Some of
as
them
well.
are.
No, that's,
to be
those
discussed.
should be
Right,
like
and that's
only
the purpose of this-
operational things.
of this
So, I mean,
Okay,
I
yes,
understand,
and I will
I think what
I
you're
will
thinking is, hey, there's a
read
cycle.
it to you.
And so
Unless-
including it as part of that cycle, and that part of it makes sense, but they
Copy
wouldn't,
of
like, they wouldn't become part of our bylaws.
Thank you.
But,
is-
I mean, it's not a bad.
Yeah, I think
thing,
I was
but
under the
our
impression we were gonna get an
values really
updated,
shouldn't be changing very often.
No, because it,
I mean,
Everybody.
we ended up with a mission statement that was
Well, I think does
decades
everybody else
old
have
that
their-
didn't
no,
make any sense, which is why we changed it.
Okay, so
But,
we need, so we
you
need
know what,
two
I
copies,
can do
please.
whatever,
All
but
right,
my
so we're just
question
gonna
then
take
would
a
be,
5-minute,
where are we
recess,
acquainting,
and
how
we'll
are we
come back
tying
at
together the
6:20,
work that we
6:15
do,
right
so
now.
Do we hit
with
stop?
what our employees hear,
or pause, is there a
see,
pause button?
act.
I would
So kind of what's the point of us saying the district has values if we're not educating our employees about them?
Maybe we should put it on a big thing and put it on the wall.
Well, I think we should do that anyway, because I think the public should see what we believe that they are as well. But that in and of itself isn't education, right? I mean, somebody could have a poster up that tells you how to drive. It doesn't mean you understand how to do it. So I realize we're all coming at this from different places. This is something that for me, from a corporate culture, I'm used to. hey, these are our values.
Can you dumb it down further and say that our values are continually evolving to meet the need of our patrons instead of incorporating the whole?
Then I'm not sure why, I wouldn't do that, because then it's basically saying that the ones that we thought were important to vote on, they're just going to change in 5 minutes anyway. I mean, if nobody else feels that, that's fine. I just don't know why we bothered, but I'll move on. It's fine. I'm not going to, this isn't contingent upon my opinion only. Nobody else sees the value. Cool.
How long is the value statement? I forgot exactly. I remember.
It's not very long. It's like four lines.
It's like 4 or 5. It's like 4 bullet points.
Something
like that.
Can't we just put it right on the front?
No, I wouldn't put it on the front. I'd put it in here.
In the introduction?
I'll dig it out from wherever it is, and it's whenever meeting we decided on it, and I'll stick it in here. Maybe like right under chapter 1 introduction. Here are our values. Here's who we are. And if I think it's going to change, we'll talk about it at the meeting where we're actually approving. And I'll actually bring in clean copies for everyone to look at. But
if nobody else sees the value in it, I do, because I come from corporations that expect you to behave a certain way and say, hey, these are our values, and so we want everybody to have an understanding of what we think is important. We're the people that set the tone for this district in that respect. And so for me, that makes logical sense. It doesn't have to be that way. It never has been that way before. So it certainly doesn't have to be that way. I think what I'm trying to do, again, and I know I've already said this at least twice, but is make a larger connection between our staff and ourselves and the work that we do and the work that they do in some sort of common form. And I think the other part of it for me is taking a little of the chill out of this document. Again, I realize how some policies need to have absolutely unambiguous and serious language. But I think some of it could be a little friendlier and a little less stark than it is. That's what I see that I think is missing, and I think I might be the only one. And if so, okay, then it's fine.
I totally see where you're coming from. The only thing that scares me is that I think this is a very valuable document that once we get it done should be able to last for a long time. And I don't want to see us include something that causes it to be controversial by what we include or by what is lacking in what we include in somebody else's opinion, such as if it says they don't support this program. We're going to throw out the whole. That's the only thing that worries me. I don't want it to cause. If there's a new board down the road or something, I don't want it to cause something to where they question the whole document. That's the only thing that worries me.
We all voted on our values, so if we can't support them, I don't understand the point.
It feels like so much of what we have is cold and boring, and it's just the rules. To where, I don't know, the values kind of are more.
This isn't the board statement that was controversial a couple of years ago. This is the thing that we came up with.
Yes.
Like last January.
Yeah. In all of this paper, do we have that actual value statement?
No.
Could we find it and read it so that we have something to...
I don't have it. Not with me.
Isn't it on our website?
It was. I think we took it down to clean that page up so that people would see the temporary closure notice front and center.
But it's still there, because we haven't changed it, right?
Is that what we called it, a value statement or a mission statement?
Well, let's just, you know what, let's move on. Let's move on, because we have 89 more pages, or 79 more pages to get through. So that's it. Yeah, okay. Let's just move on.
The table of contents, I'll clean all that up so that it's, lined up properly, and I will make sure that all the page numbers are correct. I'll put pagination in. So, on Chapter 1, Purpose and Scope, which we looked at, so in the 1.2 Purpose and Scope, sort of in the middle, the Executive Employees Handbook discusses policies related, and delete only and the, so it's related to full-time employees of NWPPRD instead of only to the few full-time employees of NWPPRD. Okay? Just clears up that,
Is it full-time or is it exempt? Sorry, I know I have this on the other stuff, but is it full-time or is it exempt?
Is there a difference?
Yes, a regular full-time employee can work overtime, and exempt employee is typically salaried and cannot.
That's
Unless their salary level is low enough that they qualify.
92.
That's where I'm just unsure, and I'm not.
No, it's an excellent question, because we had a discussion today about who are the executive employees, and I said, oh, they're the people who are, exactly.
Right, and it might not need an answer at this moment. I'm bringing it up right now for consistency purposes, that we just need to ensure that whatever the definitions that we settle on are consistent throughout the documents.
Yeah, no, and
so that's why I don't think we need to answer that question here, because there's more about it in the executive handbook, right?
Yeah.
But I think we need to put a little a little needs attention, however we document that.
Okay, I will look at that. Okay, and then down, it's at the one that says, new policies or revisions may be distributed to all employees. Wendy asked the question, where, when will this be done? The new policies will also be posted in the revised handbook on our website. I discussed that with Rex, and we just decided we're not going to put it on the website. We're just going to line through that. So it'll end with, it's your responsibility to read, understand, and place the new revised policies in your own handbook. And we won't put it on the website.
So the first day they get a copy of this, a
Yes.
paper copy of this.
Yes.
I think that's good change.
Okay. Any other changes on this page? And Wendy, you have any others? Okay. So chapter 2, the first page, Commissioner Singleton and Commissioner Harden didn't have any issues with the first page. Turning to the one that has 2.5 at the top. Going down to 2.7, designated employee areas. The question was asked, is the fishbowl the official name of that room? And the answer is yes, it is. So unless somebody has a problem with that, we'll just leave it as the fishbowl. And then second sentence is non-employees, including employee family members, and at that time it said, and commissioners, are not allowed in these areas unless escorted by an employee or as approved by the director. And talked to Rex about that, and we are going to line through and commissioners, because you are right, we do have the authority to come in and inspect.
Right, for a reason. I
exactly.
mean, not just to,
not just to hang.
Right.
So we will delete that. And the question was asked, what about minor children of employees? And that is kind of covered because it says non-employees, including employee family members, are not allowed in these areas unless escorted by an employee or as approved by the director. And we have had issues before with young children being in the area, but it is controlled by the director. So I think we're okay with the way that it's worded.
So employees technically could bring their minor children with them to work.
Yeah, but it's usually on a, what's that word, where it's an exception rather than the rule.
Yeah. But with the boss's approval, I don't think you'd do it otherwise, so.
Yeah, well, in the past,
I know.
there has been a lot of, people bringing their infants to work with them, which I didn't think was appropriate.
I agree, and they're not, it's an exception, and so
okay.
it should be. And it's like, unfortunately, sometimes.
Well, I'm not saying never, I'm just saying.
Yeah, no. But it's
regular.
Yeah, it's the right now it says they're not supposed to be there, other than as.
For example, when I met with the athletic director from high school, he was saying looking for a coach. The girls' coach that they had last year was pregnant. Now she's with a child outside of her. And he said, she just wants to, bring the baby when she's coaching, you know, in a little thing.
With a child outside of her. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Back to the. I'm sorry, Rex.
So I said, I don't think that's appropriate because, you know, she's coaching. She's not babysitting. You know, it's like our insurance would not go for that. You know, so I mean that's just kind of a basic policy. Unless, you know, I mean, let's say one day she couldn't find a babysitter and she had to bring her young whatever daughter. I don't know what it is.
Child outside of her body.
Young Harper. We gotta give her a name, Harper.
All right. 2.9, lockers. Lockers and locker key will be provided to employees. Assignments of large lockers, blah, blah, blah. Employees will be charged a $25 replacement fee for a lost or stolen key. The question was asked, should we take a key deposit to be returned upon return of key? Keep in petty cash or keep a balance. And Rex and I discussed that, and we both agreed actually a key deposit would be easier than a key replacement fee, especially when people just leave and never come back. So that's a policy decision because the key control policy is one that was selected or written by the board years and years ago. And so if we're going to change the policy, if we get a consensus, I'll go through and make changes to it and we'll look at it at the next meeting. But does that make more sense? Because right now in our key control policy, which is in the back.
Right, we'll get there.
Okay, anyway, it basically says that we're going to take it out of somebody's pay, which we absolutely can't do, and stuff like that. So
I think also, we looked into that today, and I don't even think we can do that with a deposit.
Really?
Yeah, I know we can't do it with uniforms. You know, we can't take it out of their pay if it's a down payment, or not a down payment, but whatever it's so I'm assuming that we can't do it for that. And also the keys, to replace a key is not that expensive.
How much is it?
Like $2.50.
Oh, then
well, but it takes staff time. I mean, the U.S. Postal Service takes a deposit. So I guess, I don't know if we're saying that we don't think that we can, but the U.S. Postal Service does it when you get a key from them for your post office box. So I would assume that if they can do it, then we could do the same. Because the point is that you get the money for it up front, and we'll give it back to you if you fulfill your obligations.
Yeah. Do you want a locker? Then by all means, give us. If it's only $250 to replace, then why don't we say $5 deposit? You know.
Well, to me, it's not just for lockers; it's for keys to this building.
Yeah,
that's the more important one, because I remember a time when we had to get it rekeyed because stuff wasn't returned. And maybe I'm misremembering it, but
Rekeying is a different deal.
Well, I understand that, but part of it is the incentive to return something is based on, well, I've already given you the money. I realize that in some cases, someone's still not going to care. I get that, but. That was the idea behind asking the question about a key deposit, because that's pretty common, actually. I mean,
it is. Okay. I agree.
But this is just a locker key.
No, not necessarily.
We actually, in the key control policy, that's going to come up because it is also, this is in this part, but back in the key control policy, it talks about keys to the building as well.
Oh, well, so the building is different to me than the locker.
The building is different, and we just need to look into it and see what legally we can do, because there is an RCW that says you cannot collect a deposit for uniforms. So I'm not sure how this would be different. There's also some terminology of what you can collect fees for. If an employee were to agree that we could deduct it from their final check, then we could, but not if they're a minimum wage employee, because you cannot deduct from their check anything that would cause them to be paid below minimum wage.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
And I think about an employee like our new maintenance person we just hired. I issued him 4 keys. So based on $25 per key, I'd be collecting $100 from a brand new employee that hasn't even received a paycheck.
Yeah, and we talked about that too, where we're going to charge per key, but not if it only costs, I would say one $25 fee for all the keys they have.
I've got a key in my pocket that presumably is a $50,000 key, I guess. I mean, it's a key to 400 units. Most of the units have three locking doors on them. It'd be expensive if it was lost, but there still was no key deposit there. And then I think you get a case to where somebody, a guard that opens or closes, somebody making minimum wage is going to have the key. And to take $50 or $25, you couldn't dare charge enough to make it worth what rekeying the building.
So then what's the point of having the policy? Like if we basically have said, and I'm not saying this to be difficult, I'm saying it to be realistic. Then what's the point of having the policy at all? Right? We've said that we're, and I actually think that I feel like it's kind of half and half about whether we should look at a deposit or not. I think we should look into it, but either way. But if we've actually said that there is virtually no way we could collect on it after the fact, why have a policy?
I mean, I do think.
Well, we definitely have to have a policy that says you can't copy the key.
Well,
sure, but then why have a financial penalty related to it? It doesn't make sense.
And I agree with the financial penalty part. I don't think that part makes sense. However,
I think we should.
I think it's prudent to point out that your employment hinges on you being responsible with the key.
I think I just passed out was just when we pass out a key, we have them fill out this.
Okay, thank you.
So we know who has keys.
And what is the basis for giving a person a key?
One of the things, if we have a guard that opens the facility because there's an activity where it requires a guard, then they have a key. If we have somebody like the maintenance guy who needs access to the building at various times, day or night, and they have to have a key. I'm talking about...
No, I think the maintenance person I don't have any problem with. Some of the lifeguards, I don't know, that's
do all the lifeguards get it and keep them, or do they get it just, I'm coming in Sunday, so I'm the early open, so I have to check the key out like on Saturday or something?
It's not like every lifeguard gets a key at all.
Okay. Some of the senior lifeguards get them.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we have non-employees that have keys as well.
Non-employees?
Correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think this is good.
All right. What do we want to do about? Do we want to look into the legality of a deposit, or are we at the point where it's like, those poor kids don't make enough money. we don't want to collect money from them in advance.
At this point, I would just leave it the way that it is. I mean, I wouldn't take the language out. I'd just leave it the way that it is.
Okay.
So that in cases where we have that problem and we can recover the money, that we do, and in cases where we can't, I mean, this is the expectation is that
Okay.
I would just leave it.
So employee will be charged a $25 replacement fee for a lost or stolen key. Make it less?
I don't think you can make it less because I think the whole point is that if we have to replace a key, there is labor involved in that. So the real cost of a key is not just the cost of the key, right? That's the point behind it. Okay. But it's also intended to be an incentive to return the key.
Okay. So then in 2.10, all financial transactions will be made through a point of sale at the reception desk by the cashier on duty. Employees will not operate the cashier, computer, cash register unless authorized. And right now it says by the Director of Client Services and Communications. If we just delete that, if say unless authorized and trained to do so, because we're changing names and roles and stuff. So if we just delete that, we're good, I think. Is that okay?
It appears in the same paragraph. In the last sentence. So I think part of it is, I think what we have to do is, I think we leave things as they are right now, because I think we leave things as we are, and then once we settle on whatever, then we come back and we make global updates and we vote on a global update to stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Because some things probably won't change. Right?
Yeah.
And so I just say that. And that would be my suggestion.
No, and that's good.
Just leave it.
Okay. Okay, next page, 211. Okay. So in the second sentence that starts department heads and/or employees, so we're going to get rid of department heads and we'll just say for purchases in excess of $250, that's an addition. Employees authorized to make business purchases will thoroughly research and record at least 3 vendors to compare pricing and quality. All purchases require approval from the director, and we're going to add in the vendor information will be provided to the director in writing. Employees' transcript précis of a phone call will suffice to document vendor information. Because the question was asked, do we do this about the 3 vendors? And the answer is not when somebody's getting something that costs $2 or pens or paper or whatever.
So one question there on that. So say we buy something 27 times a year. Oh, you're not going to call every time, right? But how?
I think you add the word new. I think you add the word like new purchases,
okay.
Right?
That's
okay.
Right.
So I mean,
for
like,
new purchases,
every time somebody goes to Costco, they're not going to go like, well, you know.
And I do review quarterly for a lot of things, just as a matter of course.
So,
again,
new purchases, but I mean, it don't. I mean, anything you buy is new, right? So is there?
Well, no, I mean not though. You have recurring purchases.
Recurring purchases.
It would be it would be non-recurring.
Non-recurring purchases in excess of $250.
There you
Is
go.
that?
Yep.
I like that.
That's
Are we
good.
happy?
I might
Okay,
borrow
for
that somewhere else where I want
non-recurring.
to, because I just got you the price of 3 water heaters. Why do I?
$250 seems really low to, I mean, to have to get 3 quotes on.
Yeah, it was 5. I mean, it said 5 at one time.
$250.
They had to get
that takes a lot of time to
5
get a lower price.
Oh.
Remember we changed it?
Yeah.
Because I said, 500 seems like a lot.
Does it? Well, see, it depends on how much money you're used to spending.
Okay, as the person who's going to do a lot, what do you think? It's 250 too low a number?
I think if we're discussing a single item, that's a reasonable amount.
It will be a single item. It won't be like bulk stuff.
Yes, no, exactly. If we're talking about a whole Costco order or a whole office supply order, that's going to total more than that.
Yeah, but
and that would be a little silly. But for an individual single item, yeah, I think that's probably pretty reasonable.
So can we add non-recurring item purchases? Right. So we understand it's not the value of an order. It's the value of an item.
Oh yeah, for non-recurring. Right. Yeah. Item purchases, I'll put that in there. For non-recurring item purchases in excess of $250. Okay.
You're leaving out the business.
What business?
Employees authorized to make.
Oh.
I would just say non-recurring purchases.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Okay. I'll play with the wording, but yeah, take out the business. Okay. So are we happy with the purchasing policy? Is that okay? Down to outside employment. Oh, that's just a typo. Executive. The final sentence. Executive missing a U, and someone asked why only there should be here. Oh, the conflict of interest policy. And I will explain my reasoning for that was I just thought the only people that are really going to have a conflict of interest are going to be more executive people. But if everyone else thinks, no, everybody needs to see the conflict of interest policy, it's easy enough to stick it as an appendix into this document as well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm the one who said it. I think it belongs here.
Okay,
I mean,
I don't have a problem with that.
You have to realize we have, as of right now, and probably for a good portion of this year, most of our employees are going to be hourly, and so, I mean, it's kind of there's a state of flux. But I think either way, I mean, I remember before I was on this board, there were questions about an employee who was giving services to another recreation district, and where that income was going. Was it coming to the district, or was it going to that person? And you know, and I think back to those kinds of things and just kind of go, yeah, I think everybody needs to understand what a conflict of interest might be and how to manage it.
Okay.
We do have lifeguards that work at other facilities.
Of course, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so part of that's a good point.
I'll just put it, so for more information, see NWPPRD's conflict of interest policy in appendix, wherever it ends up. Okay. Are we happy with that paragraph? Is that okay? All right. Next paragraph, 2.14. All job openings will be posted internally and through other external recruitment sources. Is that okay? All right. 2.15, demotions, down at the bottom. Let's see. A demotion may be authorized by the director for any employee who requests it to prevent a layoff. Any demotion to prevent layoffs may be reversed when the previous position is reopened. So I didn't know, Wendy, did you want to add? This is exactly what you said, and I didn't really understand. So it was vague. And do you want to put in the words either where appropriate or where possible or where available, or make that clear when that was?
Yeah, just let me,
Okay.
sorry. Again, it's hard to. Oh, I think it's adding some verbiage because part of it is who requests it to prevent a layoff. Who requests it to prevent a layoff where appropriate.
Okay.
Right, so
Yeah.
so I'll use an example. Maybe I'm a lifeguard, and maybe something happens, and I can no longer lifeguard. But I'd really like to stay here. And is there another position for me? And so that might be, considered demotion, and that would be appropriate. I think
Okay.
I don't love word salad, but I think in this case something.
I think for disciplinary purposes worries me on many fronts. I don't know if it's industry standard to have it there.
What, an employee may be demoted for disciplinary purposes?
That worries me for some reasons, litigation point of view, but also like if you've got somebody that's done something severe enough to be demoted and you're going to demote them, are they going to be a good employee?
Okay. Somebody who's a senior lifeguard or, in a position of trust and authority neglects to lock the door. So you kind of demote them for cause from senior lifeguard to just a lifeguard.
That makes sense.
That's one thing that I can absolutely think of. That's not, we're not talking about, some of the really bad things that have happened at all, because, no, we're talking about the silly
Something
stuff.
very minor.
Yes.
And with this guy as director, it doesn't worry me. With some of the other people I've had, it's like, oh boy.
And there's plenty, chapter 8 is all devoted to the things you can get fired for or just demoted for. So I don't, does that make sense to you? Okay.
When you explain that it's more minor things, it makes a lot more sense, yes.
I would think so.
So I did have a note on this, and I don't know if it's worth noting in here,
Uh-huh.
but you might want to make a note on the part where it says when the employee becomes physically or mentally incapable of performing the duties of the position. Pregnancy-related disability, even if it impacts job performance or job ability, is not a reason for demotion. So I don't know if you want to make a note of that in there so that's clear for people. Not that we get that many pregnant employees, but you cannot permanently demote a pregnant employee.
Okay. I'm trying to think of the best place to put that. Maybe just put at the bottom of right at the end of it, note, demotions may not be.
Does it need to be put in there? I mean, legally, does it need to be put in?
Actually, no, it doesn't, because as long as he knows that. But I'm glad you brought it up, so everybody knows. Okay, so if we put, so that a demotion may be authorized by the director for any employee who requests it to prevent a layoff where appropriate. Is that the wording that you want to use? Okay. And any demotion to prevent layoffs, and Pat, do you want to put could instead of may? Do you have a?
I just think could
be reversed. I always think of may and could as exactly the same, but if you want to could, I'm fine with that, because to me it's the same.
I'm not going to hold up any approval over that.
Well, no, but I can change it if it matters. I'll change it to could. Any demotion and front layoffs could be reversed when the previous position is reopened.
Yeah, because you don't want to say
because
that
it
it
could.
will be.
Oh, no, yeah. Okay. Any other changes or problems with this? All right, next page. 3.1, working hours. Working hours for all employees, and then delete, except those designated as full-time exempts, are variable. The next the third sentence, employee schedules, and we're going to change that to employee availability, is determined at staff training. And Rex tells me, yep, that's what happens. And then Pat had a question about employee seniority in the last line. What was your? I didn't understand what your.
The total number of hours that you've worked in that department wouldn't necessarily equate seniority to me. Because if you're not the most capable person, why would you be the most senior? I mean, that's just.
I don't understand.
Well, scheduling priority is determined by employee seniority. Employee seniority is defined by the total number of hours worked in that department. And I understand what you're saying, that it's like if it's someone who's not capable, but in fact that's usually what seniority is your time on the job.
Yeah, I mean, how else would you determine it?
Job performance,
Education.
No, I mean,
Looks.
right. Right. I mean, the thing is you can't. I mean, unless we have a numerical grading system and we're committing to that, you can't use that. And then how do you do someone who hasn't been? I mean, I think it is kind of what it is. I mean, that's the way I see it.
Are you okay with that? Yeah. To leave it at, and I see what your comment was, but yeah, it would get too hard. Okay. Overtime. So Rex and I talked about, what's the work week, and then looking at this, because it's overtime, so employees who are not full-time are entitled to overtime if they work more than 40 hours, and then what we said was not just in a given week, because what if we say, well, the week doesn't start till Monday. And so, but if we just say over a 7-day work period, any 7 days, they deserve overtime if they work, if they work more than 40 hours over 7 days. Are we wrong?
I think that would be a nightmare to administer. We can't. I mean, that makes no sense.
That would be setting us up to actually pay more overtime.
Well, but it also, I mean, I think.
And logistically tracking it would be a nightmare because
it would be horrible.
I would have to track for every single employee a 7-day sliding scale.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I think the thing you have to do in that case is have an understanding for, hey, this person's been working a lot lately. Mm-hmm. It's the end of the pay period, whatever. You know what? Let's make sure that person gets a couple of days off. Or what?
So we presently go Sunday through Saturday.
Okay.
Is how we calculate it. And LMI does require that each employee get a 24-hour rest period at least one day per week. So we try to schedule that, and I review my schedule when I'm scheduling my staff to ensure that everyone's hours are appropriate. And I try to give some buffer so that even if they end up covering a shift for someone, or we have patrons taking an extra amount of time to get out of the building, they're still not going to be in danger of approaching overtime, and they're getting appropriate days off in there.
Okay. If they work more than 40 hours, so we're Sunday to Saturday, is that what you said, our week?
Yeah.
Where it gets a little weird sometimes is where a pay period cuts off in the middle of the week, because, like, for example, yesterday was the end of the pay period, So when I'm processing payroll, I'll see that the hours from the first or whatever Saturday is the end of the week. But say someone had worked, 22 hours already prior to today, and then they work another 22 hours, they'll have 4 hours of overtime that could be missed.
Why don't they sync up? Why aren't they the same?
Because of the way our pay periods go. Our pay periods are the 1st through the 15th and the 16th through the last day of the month. So if we switch it so pay periods ran like every other Friday or something like that, then
We should talk about that. I mean, we really should.
Some of those be coded in there somehow to do it.
It seems pretty archaic a little bit. I mean, sorry, but.
Okay, employees are entitled to overtime if they work more than 40 hours over or in, we say the Sunday to Saturday work period.
I would just put the 7, leave it the 7-day, per 7-day week.
In an established weekly work period of 7 days?
I think so.
Because our established weekly work period is Sunday to Saturday.
which you could say that just so that it's
Okay.
And I think that if somebody's pay period gets broken up and they end up working the 2 hours extra per week or something, then I think we have to pay them overtime.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean,
Which we do, that's the part that I just have to go back and look for people that I think may be closed, but it's not a frequent occurrence.
Okay, I'll just add, in NWPPRD, the weekly work period is Sunday to Saturday. Sunday to Saturday, period. Okay. Overtime, and we're gonna get, overtime beyond 40 hours must be approved by the director. And it's like that employee's department, we're deleting that and putting designated authority, who's the supervisor or whoever the director would have designated, because, usually it's not going to be. Okay, everyone okay with working hours? Okay, attendance and punctuality. I can't believe you want he, she, they, and his, her, there. It's like he, she, and his, her works for me.
It's really not that hard. I know it works for you, but it's not. This is current. This is the world we live in. So it's trying to be inclusive.
I'm sorry. There's nobody besides he and she.
Well, that people beg to differ. So we're trying to be inclusive.
I am being inclusive.
We could put employee.
That's fine. I think that's fine.
I see where everybody's coming.
or employee and notify employee supervisor.
Yep, that's
Well,
fine.
yeah, no, I think that works.
Yeah,
if you
that's
do
fine.
that. I mean,
Yeah, the world has changed, and we must adapt in one way or another if we want to. It's the truth.
Employee or robot must notify.
There you go. Like the little
Okay.
cooler.
And Pat, you had a question mark on the employees unable to work and employees taking any type of reschedule or finding their own replacement. You just had a big question mark on these two, where it's.
I just think it's weird that employees have to find their own substitute.
Well, it's the
Yeah.
ones who have already agreed to work certain hours, basically.
That's pretty normal.
I guess it's normal for.
It is.
for
Yeah,
to do it.
they've agreed to work those hours, because when they have the training and they are saying, I'm available these days to work and I want to work here, and then a concert comes up or something that oh gosh, I got that big chem test or whatever, and it's like, so.
You need to find somebody to cover your shift
Yeah,
so that you can have it off.
yeah. Are you okay with it, having it?
I'm okay with it. I just
Okay.
think it's kind of bizarre that people.
Well, what's weird is when
finding their
somebody's sick and they're supposed to find a replacement. It's like, yeah, that's not going to happen.
I wish there was something to the extent that if the notice was less than 72 hours or something. I mean, I hate that they have to find their own replacement 2 weeks out or whatever, but. Especially for the kids in school that might have a test come up or something.
What if we're not happy with who they find? I think that was one of the.
Well,
Then that person probably shouldn't be working here.
There you go. So are they finding somebody that's approaching overtime, and then that person works overtime, and then the director has to approve it? It gets really cumbersome. So shouldn't senior staff be finding the replacement, so they're picking somebody that's not going over?
No, an individual should know if I'm approaching overtime that, well, I could, but now you need to go make sure. I mean, it's about personal responsibility. Like, that's what this is about. And in most hourly jobs where you do shift work, this is really common. I mean, this is not foreign.
Yeah.
Okay,
so we're good with that. Next page, 3.5, second paragraph. Any employees who are required to remain in the facility during meal breaks will be paid for this time. If the employee leaves the facility for a meal break, they must note the meal period on their time card. Rex, you want to explain?
Well, I was just saying that I don't think leaving the facility has anything to do with it. It's like if they want to go sit in their car and have a meal break, that's perfectly acceptable. If they have their meal break here, that's acceptable.
I've never heard the rest break being less than 15 minutes ever. I thought LNI was 15 minutes.
I actually thought it was too.
I've never seen less than 15 ever.
But
The rest break.
Isn't it 15? Isn't it 15
No,
minutes?
I think it's 10.
Is it really?
I've never
I'm
seen
pretty
that.
sure. I'm
I
pretty sure
swore it
that's
was
10.
15.
would you look that up? Because that's something that I wouldn't know. 'Cause
So are we suggesting changing the wording? Because, I mean, what I heard you just say is the wording invalidates that last, if I understood correctly, that last sentence.
There will be times where a senior guard will have to stay in the building
Oh,
during
no,
their lunch break.
no, yeah, that's not what this sentence says, though.
If they're, so that would be an example of someone that cannot leave the facility. for a
Right,
meal break.
but that sentence doesn't, it says if the employee leaves the facility for a meal break, they must note the meal period on their time card.
Anytime they clock out for a lunch break, it needs to be noted.
Okay, but
Whether they're
isn't
getting
it, I mean, are they
clocked
actually
out.
noting it, or are they just clocking out and clocking back
They
in?
should clock out and clock back in.
Okay, then it's really not a note, it's procedural.
Yes.
That everybody should know when you're working, you clock in, and when you're not working, you clock out. I mean, I feel like maybe this is a little overdone, because it's like, yeah, that's what you do.
But if the lifeguard has to stay here because you have.
Right, then they don't clock out.
Then they don't clock out.
Right.
Then they get paid for their lunch break.
Right.
Yeah. No, I think that's.
Okay, so I found the
Right.
answer to the meal breaks. Workers must be allowed a paid rest break of at least 10 minutes for each 4 hours worked. The rest break must be allowed no later than the end of the 3rd hour of the shift.
I haven't had time to check my source yet, but it
Yeah,
says
I
the
don't,
opposite.
what's,
Well, this is Washington Allen, Iowa.
Yeah.
yeah, that's, I don't know what the
That's what
dot
I said, I
IE,
haven't.
I don't know what the dot IE is, so.
Thank you.
I feel like that last sentence is, it either just needs to be changed or removed, but whatever. I mean,
It seemed kind of redundant because if they're leaving the facility, they would have clocked out.
exactly.
okay,
Yep.
then let's just delete that then. If I'm fine with that being gone. Okay. Okay. 3.7 timekeeping. All overtime work must always be pre-approved by the director. And that
Where are you at?
oh sorry. 3.7
timekeeping.
second paragraph.
The big circle.
Yeah.
Timekeeping, yeah, the big circle.
Yes, I see.
And then every employee is responsible for turning in their time card in a timely fashion. Failure to turn in the time card will delay compensation until after the time card is turned in.
So there are,
How many days after the time card is turned in? Because you can't just get, I mean, say I turn my time card in on Monday when it was supposed to be turned in on Saturday, you might not be able to get the check ready the next day, could you?
They get 5 days to turn in their timesheet at the end of the pay period. We run on a 2-week delay. So
Right.
the way that it used to work when we had paychecks and everything was done electronically was if they had missed punch forms because they forgot to clock in, they forgot to clock out, they had 5 days to get all of that to their department head. Joanne would print a fancy little report that came from the company. It would come to department heads for us to go through it and approve everything. And then it would go back and she would do the final changes to it to resubmit it. So under our current scheme, I don't know that we really need a 2-week delay where we're doing it all in-house because we don't have all that back and forth with the reports. But we do have that 2-week delay on the payroll, so there's plenty of time even if they forget.
Oh, okay, so the person that starts working here works a month before they get paid?
Depending on when they start, potentially, yes.
Well,
And that's pretty common with any job as well.
And so the nice part of it is, well, you know, it kind of stinks, but the flip side of that, a few years ago when we had the pump failure and people were suddenly without work, we all had another paycheck coming that was going to be pretty much a regular paycheck. So we had a couple of weeks to say to ourselves, hey, we're going to be a little bit short and make adjustments. So it stinks on the front side, but on the back side it's nice.
And it's common.
It's
No matter how much you make, it for an employer, whether it's you're a minimum wage or employee or you make a lot of money, that's the way it works.
So on the timekeeping, the overtime being pre-approved. I mean, there are going to be exceptions. I mean, the maintenance guys at 40 hours on Friday night and a pipe break Sunday morning. Maybe there will be exceptions. I mean, if you have an aquatic director in here and they're 39 hours and they realize that a lifeguard didn't show up for a shift or something at the end of the week. So
would you not think that the maintenance guy would call you and say?
I don't know how often he wants to be bothered at home. That's my question.
That's my
Or
question.
if they can't reach him.
I mean, no, I think what Shane is saying is that's true. I mean, there are things that would happen. I mean, like they're an emergency, and maybe calling me after the fact would be the prudent thing to do.
Well, here's everything. All overtime must be pre-approved by the director, and you can have your standard list of this is approved. I approve your overtime when the pump breaks, when this emergency, that emergency.
He's already approved it.
It's
for
already
senior
approved.
people in case of emergency.
Do you not agree with that?
Yeah,
That makes absolute sense.
This is to prevent, paying overtime to Sally the lifeguard when Jimmy hasn't gotten 20 hours.
Absolutely.
Or whatever many is. I think that's what
Sally's so much more reliable.
See, you prefer Sally.
But see, then in that case, you've already approving it.
Versus employee 2.
See, and I get caught up on words sometimes. And so this big test that we went down to Seattle and took, there was a couple questions where I called the instructor over. I'm like, can you ask me this question somehow different? I don't care how. So being able to look at it from a different angle really helps me.
Okay. Anything else on this page? Are we good? Okay. Moving on. Compensation. Here's another down under 4.3, last sentence. Put another until after the time card is turned in. Okay. Pay period. And Pat asked the question, is this enough time to do the payroll?
We already were discussing that.
Yeah,
We're supposed to be too late,
Okay.
so it does get
Good, okay. All right. Each paycheck will include earnings for the work performed through the end of the previous pay period. That works. And I will make sure that there's, this thing that is on the bottom will have space so you don't get confused about what it is. Okay. Anything else in Chapter 4, compensation? Okay. Chapter 5, benefits. Okay.
I got one question real quick.
Oh, sure.
On the Family Medical Leave Act, is that set as an employee deduction, or are we small enough to where it's not, or?
Pretty much nobody is small enough to where it's not.
So does that need to be on the deductions?
So I think it would be better placed in the executive handbook based on, well, I had a question, because that's where all of the other leave related stuff.
That's on the Family Medical Leave stuff, right? The
Well,
Washington?
all of the other leave stuff is in the executive handbook,
Okay.
but I feel like because that applies to all employees, that maybe it
Yes.
should be in this one. It's not covered in either handbook at this point.
Because it's a paid deduction.
The Family Medical Leave Act?
The paid family medical leave act.
The Washington State Paid Family Medical Leave Act.
Wait a minute, do we have to pay people to take family medical leave now?
Like
It's-
up to 6 or 8 weeks.
We started collecting deductions for it from paychecks and the
Oh.
employer portion starting January 1st. And then starting January 1st of next year, they can actually start using it.
So it is set to be like almost like a risk retention pool, almost where you're paying into it. And then whenever they do take the leave, the state pays their wages. So, yes.
No, I agree. If it's something that everybody gets, then it needs to be in this document.
Yeah, I printed out,
It's brand new, that's why, well, 5 months old. New enough to where you're paying in, but you can't collect yet.
yeah.
All right, let me scribble the notes myself. Family
And it's new enough that it's hard to find a
Medical
whole lot of detail about it.
leave.
Like, I know how much to deduct and all of that, but
So is that a benefit or is that a compensation? That's a benefit, right?
Almost in a way, it makes you more competitive with the Joneses in a way.
Yeah,
Well, not
it would be,
everybody has to.
yeah, it's
Okay.
interesting because it's administered by ESD,
it's a benefit.
where most of the other items are governed by LMI. But this one is actually administered by ESD.
Wow.
Okay, so it should be in chapter 5 under benefits. So I will, I'll add it in.
But it's a benefit
Thank you.
even though they have to pay for it?
I'll print a new one.
All right, thanks.
I guess because the employer has to match, I guess
Well,
it's a
so the
benefit, right?
employee pays, for the deduction, the employee pays .6667 or something like that.
Do
And
they,
the employer pays .33.
do they have to pay or is this a choice?
They have to.
Oh. All right, so employee pool use for the first of the benefits. Okay. So, Rex and I talked about this one, and we said that, so eligible employees and immediate family members may use district facilities free of charge during regular hours for sauna, hot tub, lap swim, kiddies pool, and open swim, basically those things. It doesn't include swim lessons, it doesn't include aerobics, because that costs extra. Anyone have a problem with that interpretation?
Yeah, I actually thought about that a lot.
Okay,
And one of my goals is to build a community of people who are concerned about the pool, the community, and all of that. And I think of them people that have worked for a variety of things, where when they're off, they're not working, they show up at the place. I mean, that's from fast food to all kinds of places. And I think like we have one aerobics instructor, water aerobics instructor, who only does 1 hour a week. And she's done that for a while. And just to get here 1 hour a week, if you think of yourself, would you come in, drive here to do 1 hour? I mean, that takes dedication, because it's not like you're doing a shift, 3 or 4 hours. So I would say a person like that ought to be able to use the facility. It's a benefit. It shows connection to the place.
we haven't gotten to that part yet. Right now, we're just talking about the interpretation of the lap swim, sauna, hot tub, kiddie pool, and open swim.
But I'm talking about all of it. I'm talking about, if a person is an employee here, they ought to be able to use the facility and even lessons if they want, not necessarily for their families, but, if I have a non-swimmer, like I can think of somebody right offhand who's a non-swimmer who might, she keeps shaking her head.
Well, that's why, for that program, they get an employee discount.
Yeah, but it's still,
I don't disagree with it for the employee themselves. I agree, but I think that it needs to be the person, because I think the other part of it is we're promoting not just with the people who wear swimsuits at work, but with everybody. We're promoting a healthy lifestyle. So I don't disagree with you in terms of participation. Sure, if somebody wants to do some other things, I think there probably should be some cost to cover it. But if it's, I want to join an aerobics class, I want to, I think we should encourage the employee to do that. I think when it comes to the immediate family, I think the rules should be different.
Right, I can agree with
Okay,
that.
yeah. Because really, it's also about putting our money where our mouth is. That your health is important. And for some people, it's also about, well, they're coming here. Sometimes the person who's coming here to teach 1 hour a week, it's to help her keep her own fitness level.
Exactly.
But we should be encouraging her or anybody else to hey, you want to be extra fit? Get fit.
Yeah,
Right?
I really like it for the employee.
Yeah, I think for the employee, I think that's fine. I mean, I think that's great.
Okay, so do we want then for the employee to be anything, any programs then?
Well, no, I think programs are different from classes, right? I mean, and so I don't think it's.
You mean aquatics? Like aquatics things? So
Yeah.
The difference between aquatics and, let's say, if we did painting.
No, to me, swim lessons are a program.
Oh, okay. So could they do a program?
I think it's more. I think it's classes. I think we have to review because someone joining a class or someone joining a lap swim or someone joining a whatever, there's no incremental cost to it. But when it comes to a program, I think that we just need to not be so quick to just. I think that there's still a discount.
I think
What if you made it space available for the employee? Like, for example, if an adult class, since we're talking about swim lessons, if an adult class can accommodate up to 6 people and it has 5 people, then at the last minute, an employee could fill that 6th slot. Because the class already has enough people to run, so you wouldn't be holding the class just for that person, and that staff member wouldn't be taking a paid spot from a community member, just if there was an opening left at the registration deadline.
I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah,
But
I do
what-
too.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to
Okay.
be responsible, but to also here's a perk based on availability.
Yeah, I mean, if we have an employee working in here that would benefit from the swim class, then they probably should be in it in case they end up in the water someday. That's all.
But the
Take the
employee
lesson.
is an
Take the lesson.
adult. They don't typically
That's my
take
point.
group
Take the
lessons.
lesson. Go for it. Take the
So
lesson.
they
We do
usually-
offer-
Yes.
We do offer group lessons for adults.
You do?
Eligible employees are authorized
I can doggy paddle with the best of them.
But that would, I mean, it wouldn't just be swim lessons, it could be
Other
kayaking, it could
aerobics
be.
classes.
Yeah, well, it could be, and I would say, depending on what the cost for materials is, like I said, it depends on, and I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but it's because I'm excited about it, that if it was a painting class or whatever, it would be, that person might have to cover, so usually classes have a fee and they might have a materials fee.
Sure.
And so if it was that case, I would say, then as long as they pay the materials fee, if there's space available, then bring it on, right? I mean, because everything else is covered.
Right.
That would make good sense.
I mean, we can't, that's the hard part, right, of this, of these positions is we don't have a lot to give, right? And we have to be careful about what we give away. And so I think that's where a lot of caution is coming from. But I would consider that to be, as we grow our programs, I would consider that to be a great perk.
Yeah.
It is a great, and I like that for the employees, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, it's,
And the other thing, we're competing against other places that pay more. So
Right.
we've lost guards this year because they went someplace else where they pay more. But if they had all of that stuff, they would, that's another consideration.
right, but it doesn't impact taxpayer dollars negatively, and so it really is a win-win. No, I think that would be awesome. I think for me, and I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit, the thing that I just have always questioned is the 30 hours in a 90-day period thing. I mean, that's where I start to feel like, is that really enough? And I'm not knocking on the example you gave, I don't mean it that way, but that's where, I don't know. I think I've traditionally thought it should be more hours than 10 hours a month.
Yeah, it should at least come down. I wonder if it should come down to 30 days at least myself. Now that we made it to where the employee has that benefit regardless,
Right.
then maybe it
Like,
that should come down.
yeah, like, something like that, or at least, I mean, what's an average shift?
4 hours?
3 or 4 hours, depending. But
Okay.
then again, we have other lifeguards that,
Okay.
like a lot of our high school lifeguards, that they specifically get scheduled for open swims. It might be a 2-hour time block in the evening, and that might be it for their shift. And they might get 2 or 3 of those a week. So they might get 6 hours a week.
And so, okay, and see, that's tough.
And they can
because-
be as dedicated as Rex or I that, practically live here. They're working the maximum of their availability. But because they're high school students, they don't have the same availability, and then they're not entitled to the same benefit. It's, it gets murky for me. Like, how do you handle
What if
that
you go 20
fairly
hours in a
for
month?
everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that would be fair. I think part of it is part of, I think community goes both ways in that respect. And so I think part of it is we want people who are willing to put into that, and we'll give back to them. I think 20 hours would be a great, I don't know. I mean, if somebody has
a week.
I mean,
That seems to me reasonable.
Wait, 20 hours in what
A
time?
month.
A month.
Yeah.
I mean, and the high school kid probably doesn't have kids that are going to take swim lessons either.
No.
I'm going to say probably.
But we're not covering the kids' swim
Right.
lessons anyway, right?
No,
I mean, according to what we
Yes,
talked
correct.
about.
They will still receive a discount though, right? For family member lessons? Or are we taking that away?
No, that's still in there, I think.
I think they
Wait, I
should.
don't think it's specifically notated anywhere.
It's not, I think it was expected to be discussed separately.
I took it out not to get rid of it, but because it changes every year. And that's just something, I didn't want the board,
Yeah.
I wanted the board to be able to have the flexibility to raise it, lower it, whatever. But yes, it's still there, and right now it's at, are we at 10%? Does anyone remember?
Lessons were a higher percentage.
Can we not, sorry guys,
Sorry,
I just,
you're right. No.
literally we have at least 50 more pages to go through in this document, which we're definitely not going to get through tonight, so
Okay.
just stay on this.
So, eligible employees and immediate family members, when accompanied by employee or while employee is working, may use the facilities free of charge during regular hours for sauna, hot tub, kiddie pool, lap swim, and open swim. Eligible employees are authorized to join NWPPRD programs on a space available basis. Employee will be responsible to pay for materials. An eligible employee is defined as one who works at least, did we want to say 20 hours in a 30-day period?
How is that evaluated? Do you know what I mean? Like, is 90 days make more sense? It would be then 60 hours in 90 days. Like, how do you do that? Because you don't just go 1 month and like, oh, well, I was really sick for 2 weeks, and then you're like, yeah, well, and I don't think we would do that, right?
I think, I think
What do you think what's the right time frame? And then we can obviously, we expect that people are going to not, use good judgment.
I think
right?
20 hours per month on average.
Okay.
And it would maybe be evaluated on a quarterly basis.
Okay.
The other thing I think, and I've always had a concern with this, there's no time frame in this. When does this start? I get hired today and I get to do this for you tomorrow? Or is there a probationary period, some type of waiting period? Do they need 60 days of employment, 90 days before this kicks in for them?
I think for the employee, I think it's immediate. I think it should be, because again, that's we're putting our money where our mouth is. I think for the family part, maybe that's different, maybe it's not, I don't know. But again, the things that we're saying that they can use create no overhead. So I think it's really the employee discount part that might that might be where that probationary period thing comes in, because otherwise, again, we're not taxing anybody's, this is all overhead stuff.
Yeah.
How about I say then, an eligible employee is defined as one who works an average 20 hours, do we say 20 hours per month? And then, so
I
does
think
that,
would be well stated, because you do have occasions where someone becomes ill or they have a trip out of town planned or something like that.
so So it can be up to the director, say, this kid's been working his ass off and he got sick, so yeah, he's still good.
I think
Average 20
you can
hours.
always be more lenient than what you say,
Yeah.
but you can never be harsh than what you say.
Good point, yeah.
Okay. And then we talk about the, not meeting the minimum requirement. If an employee does not work at least 60 hours in a 180-day period, their employment will be considered to be terminated. Do we need to put that in, or is,
That doesn't,
What
that
about
doesn't
your-
belong here. That's
Yeah.
the only, it probably belongs somewhere, but it's not here. It would be like terms of employment or whatever that's related to that.
Well, you can consider somebody
Yeah.
an employee that only works for the summer and they don't work all the rest of the year, but they don't really get any benefits.
We just talked about somebody working 26 hours in that period and
yeah.
that we want them to be part of the community, et cetera.
We have college kids that come back and work.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, and this specifically says college students are different, but I sort of think if they've worked 60 hours in a 180-day period, what if there's somebody like the aerobics instructor who only works 1 hour a week? I kind of think we just should eliminate this
Take
whole
that
section.
paragraph.
Me too.
Yeah, I think.
Okay.
Save our extra words for somewhere else.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
All
Tack
right.
them on the end.
I'm going to delete that whole bottom half of that paragraph then. So we'll end it with eligible employee is defined as one who works an average 20 hours per month. All right. Sick leave. Use it or lose it based on the calendar year. Do we know that?
So employers must allow employees with 40 hours or less of unused accrued paid sick leave to carry over their unused paid sick leave into the following year.
Okay, so it has a 1 year
So they can carry over
from the previous year.
from the previous year if they have less than 40 hours in.
So would we think that the Paid Family Medical Leave Act, would we think that that's going to end up right in here?
Yeah.
5.5 instead? Move everything down one?
Yeah, we'll make that. So sick leave and then the other one, and then unemployment compensation will be last. So I'll put it right here.
So instead of adding more details about the 40 hours and all that, just since that could be subject to change, can we just amend the last sentence? Sick leave accrual and use will be explained.
Yes.
Right? Because otherwise,
Yeah.
if you're lucky, someone will tell you. Awesome.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, basically they earn 1 hour of sick leave per 40 hours work. So for most of our employees, they're earning very minuscule amounts.
Yeah. Okay, so does it work if we just, it will be explained? Because again, the law can change, which is, all right. So we'll put in, something about the family, whatever. An unemployment compensation, last line, employees should be aware that if they are terminated for cause, unemployment compensation is unlikely to be provided. So yeah, I guess getting rid of properly is fine. And Pat asked the question, do we now use state unemployment plan?
Because I thought that we had our own before. Before I was a commissioner, I thought that
No.
we were like
We don't have to pay into the unemployment thing because we're exempt. I think that's one of the reasons. Anyway, but then if we fire someone incorrectly, or even if we fire them correctly, and if we don't file the right paperwork, then they come after us for unemployment, which is why we've been paying unemployment for a lot of people.
So we don't want to pay unemployment.
No, we would pay way more in unemployment insurance premiums than what we pay as a reimbursable employer. With the shutdown period, we paid for 2 people pretty long term.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have one other employee that we paid a small portion, like I think 8 or 9% of his total benefits for a shorter period of time.
But right now, we're not paying anybody.
I don't know if we're still paying on that one. We're just about to the point where I would potentially get another invoice.
Okay.
And we should not have been having to pay for that employee in the first place. That's a difference.
Is that the one that just took forever?
Can we,
Sorry.
can we,
Okay.
yep. let's-
Yep. Okay, oh, sorry. Anybody else on benefits? No more benefits. Okay, chapter 6, performance evaluations and training. And Commissioner Shingleton asked the question, should we create a cycle for this? How is it tracked? Director, your answer?
Well, actually, I don't have an answer right now.
Yes, you did. You answered it yesterday
did I?
and said,
What did I say?
yes, we should create a cycle for this, and we are going to track it. So that's the answer is
But I meant, we don't have it right now.
we don't have it right now, but we should and we will.
Yes.
So he's going to build it. I'm fine with it not being in this document, but I'm glad that you asked the question. And
Right,
it's
I
just
don't think it necessarily
Okay.
needs to be in here, but part of that is, we happen to know that in many years previous, right?
Yes.
That it wasn't done,
properly.
and the idea is to start fresh and to do it properly herein.
Yeah, to set a cycle and track it.
Yeah.
And we, the board, are at fault because, we did sort of well sometimes with doing the director's evals, and it's like, but we're just like everybody else. We hate writing those.
The 90-day
I would
probationary
disagree
period, just one line down from where we were, I guess. That's pretty important that that's in there at 90 days. You start to go much beyond that, and then you are liable for unemployment per the hours worked. I think you get like 110 days or 115 days or something like that, and then you're on the hook for their unemployment.
What?
Yeah.
If
Once they've worked X amount of hours, then you're on the hook for their unemployment.
Well, we've already, I'm
So
sorry
the 90
guys,
days
but,
is pretty important to do
okay,
that.
but it's in there, so we're good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, third paragraph in 6.1, bottom line, this dispute will be reviewed by the supervisor and/or director who will decide the appropriate action. That's what I recommend we replace the foreboding wording with.
Sounds good.
Okay. 6.2, training policy. NWPPRD seeks, when possible, to offer training. Pat asked, are we going to help aerobics teachers to receive certificates? And so Rex and I talked about that at length, and it's in here that, that we can, if, it's in the wording. So the answer is, it's like, if we need them, well, because I just remember seeing signs that said, aerobics instructor needed, we'll train you. So, and so we do opportunities for training, on-the-job training, in-house workshops, and training and seminars sponsored by other agencies or organizations. Does that cover the external training, Wendy? Commissioner Shingleton, if we put training and seminars sponsored by other agencies or organizations.
Sure.
Okay.
And the reason that I asked that about the aerobics instructors is because there was talk of requiring our aerobics instructors to have, I forget what they call it, but more than on-the-job training.
Certification.
Yes.
Certifications.
Yes, and that is more work than just, I mean, I don't particularly say that we have to do it. I'm just saying if we do it, then I think that we should help at least the current aerobics instructors to get it. That was what my question was.
Well, it's allowed, and it just depends on the needs of the district, basically, and whether we have the resources to do it. So,
Okay.
just a couple typos in the third paragraph. The fourth paragraph, that's getting rid of supervisor, blah, blah, blah. Okay. The supervisor will review the employee's performance and make a recommendation to the director if the employee's performance meets or exceeds the minimum requirements set forth in their job description based on performance, job requirements, and budget considerations. Does that make sense the way that it's worded now? Okay. All right. Chapter 7, Employee Responsibilities and Conduct. So we will go to the Oxford 3 commas and put those in.
It's called an Oxford comma.
Oh.
I didn't invent it, guys.
No.
Feel free to look it up.
No, that's what I was taught, and then
I understand that. I got it.
Okay, among the district's expectations are basic, and tact is what was there, and I think, you wanted respectful, and maybe I wrote respect, I don't know. Respect and courtesy?
It wouldn't be respectful.
I know.
It would be.
But did you want respect instead of tact?
I don't know, Dr. Sue.
Okay.
You're asking me, like, I don't know. Like,
Okay.
I think respect is actually a better word.
No, I do
Right,
too.
and that's why I thought tact was ridiculous. I mean, maybe 30 years ago it was a great word to include there, but that's not the right.
Not even.
Yeah.
I'm not even.
I'm just trying to give it, I'm trying to give it some credence, but.
Yeah.
Okay. Harassment, sexual harassment, yep, let's delete whether it is blatant or subtle, because maintain a work environment free of harassment in any form. So, and then employees found to be harassing others will face disciplinary actions instead of be disciplined promptly and firmly. Yes?
I kind of like the promptly, so that it's not put off. But I like the disciplinary actions. I just think, who decides then? Is that the director's job to decide the disciplinary actions? Or?
Partially. I mean, depending on what it is, it could include our insurance company, legal representation. I mean, depending on what the offense was,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
And who it is.
yeah.
So,
Okay.
and I think that actually is in the sexual harassment policy, which is spelled out.
Oh yeah, that was the other thing, and I know so why do we call it harassment / sexual harassment? Isn't it just harassment? I mean, there are just different kinds of it. I don't understand, like, maybe there's a reason, but it's like, I feel like we could universally say harassment equals bad.
I like that.
Harassment, don't do it.
Does everyone agree? Just take out. Okay.
I mean, there's
Let's do
more.
that.
You don't. I mean, on the heading, right? And
Yeah.
and in the form, but I don't think we need. It's
I-
harassment.
It is. I agree.
What if it happens outside of work? Is that covered also? Employee badgering the heck out of somebody online, etc.? I don't know.
Well, no, because we only can control the work environment.
Yeah.
So they have to go to the police if it's.
What if they're like, I'm uncomfortable working around this person now? Or that's why I wondered. I don't know. I'm glad I'm not the boss some days.
Yeah, exactly.
I honestly don't.
Oh, I think that if it's happening outside the workplace, I certainly would encourage that person to talk to the director.
Yes.
And or to a person, a supervisor, so that.
I was just thinking of the age a lot of the employees are. They're brutal with each other. Not necessarily the employees, but children that age in particular. Like, or
Us
I'm so
old
glad they
people
didn't
are
have phones when I
always
was little.
nice.
Thank goodness.
They're brutal. I'm so
Okay.
glad I didn't have a phone when I was a kid.
And down in the third paragraph down, someone suggested instead of crude remarks, offensive remarks. I agree. Is that okay? All right. Next.
Back to 7.3, did you already cut out the blatant or subtle?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, next page, 7.4, reporting improper, and I think we'll just get rid of, because I was always confused by that too, and I think if we just delete governmental, it's like reporting improper action, and then we define it, and it's basically people are doing the wrong thing.
Yes.
So does that work for I think Wendy, you were the one that said define or broaden.
Yeah,
Is
I don't know.
Okay.
So I'll go with sure.
Okay. Well, I wrote your exact words down, especially if I wasn't sure what you wanted.
Right, I just don't think you can expect me to illuminate it with, I don't, sure.
Okay. District employees are encouraged to disclose any improper, and I would say we don't even need district in there, just delete district, improper action taken by officials or employees of NWPPRD without fear of retaliation. And then the employee should bring the matter to the attention of his or her supervisor, of
Employees, supervisor.
whatever. If not involved, in writing, stating a detailed basis, blah, blah, blah. And then I recommend we delete this should be done as soon as the employee becomes aware of the improper action, because some people are they're gonna think about it, and they don't know what to do, and they have to go talk to their dad or their mom or, their best friend about it, and it's like, I know this happened, what do I do? And I want them to feel like they can come forward, not, I waited too long, now I can't go forward. Does that work for everybody? Okay. Next paragraph, if the employee believes the improper action involves the director, the employee should raise the issue directly with a member of the NWPPRD Board of Commissioners. Because Rex and I talked about this, and maybe the employee is more comfortable with one commissioner rather than, because I was going to say do the chair, but it's like he might.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It's one of the commissioners.
But then what's the commissioner supposed to do?
Act?
I mean,
I think,
It depends on what it is.
Yeah.
I mean,
you have to investigate.
right.
And,
we if there was something that was improper that happened, we must act. Whether it's investigate, discuss it, consult.
if someone comes to me, I call Sean and say, Sean, we have a problem. And,
right. Well, that's what I mean.
And then,
because it seems like it should go to broader than just one person.
Oh, no.
This is what does an employee do,
Yeah.
right? An employee is not going to contact the whole board.
Yeah.
If somebody's trying to report something that clearly they either believe is illegal or improper, they might feel comfortable saying, "Hey, you," not "Hey, board," or
Right. Well, yes,
right.
and
it's from that perspective.
and going back to our insurance training, when Bruce Ryan would come here and do his thing, he probably will again soon, but most anything like that should go to the director, to a director, because it's kind of
well,
more policy,
if the improper action involves the director,
Right,
then
right.
it's that they
Then-
understand that their course of action is to come to the people that the director works for to report it.
Then it don't God get help, huh? Yes. Okay.
I don't remember what I didn't
We'll just
understand.
skip it.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay.
Don't know.
All right, next page.
Oh, yes, not the marks. Oh, we're hauling butt, look at this.
Okay, Wendy, you wanted the wording fixed in what they're allowed to wear, but I didn't know what wording you didn't like.
I don't know. Again,
Okay.
I would have to. Well, I would
Yeah.
have to see what I wrote on the. I'm not trying to be difficult.
Yeah.
I wrote it over a month ago. I don't know.
No. All you did was write fixed wording.
Okay.
You didn't circle anything or, So, anyway.
I think it's the fact that there is a lot of attention paid to female lifeguards, and I think
Right.
at a certain point we need to adopt a more neutral sort of. This wording needs to be more neutral. That's the point.
And I asked Rex to go over this and look at it and decide what he wants the rules to be, because we got talking about, how things have changed. So,
because it looks like everybody has to wear a shirt.
yes.
So
Can't it just
In
be
that
as simple
case-
as it has to be a district approved, it's a uniform, right? We provide their uniform.
do we provide their swimsuits?
No.
We
No.
provide a
And
rash
they do not
guard, right?
provide their shorts.
We
Yeah.
don't provide the shorts. So we provide their shirt, right? Rash guard or shirt, whichever it is. Doesn't
Yes.
that pretty, yeah.
Which is interesting because Because the rash guards are more expensive, so hardly
Okay.
any of our guards wear them.
So I want you to look at, look at this and change it so it's not so, it's
what I'll do is-
confusing the way that it is to me.
I'll change that and then send each of you a copy.
Okay.
So you can.
Yeah, it needs to be more gender neutral.
Yeah.
Wording,
archaic,
it's,
right?
yeah, it is,
Yeah.
like, that's, I was like, dude,
Right.
Yeah. Just like
I
that.
think so too. And I even think that we could at least look into what it would cost to get shorts for everybody.
Yeah.
That way there doesn't need to be any gender differentiation.
Yeah.
Everybody
We
has to.
wear the same shorts.
well,
Yes.
I don't think that works for people's body types.
Yeah.
I mean, unless we're saying that a bunch of dudes are gonna wear women's shorts, I mean, those things are not, like, shorts are not gender neutral. Like that, but the whole thing, I think part of it, they really aren't. Sorry, but they really aren't.
Oh,
They're cut differently.
You have girl shirt and boy shorts, that's fine. I
Yeah.
mean, but shorts, right? I mean, district uniforms or whatever you want to call them, I guess. Huh?
And they like to wear, and I know guys like to wear different types of shorts. Meaning, my brother loved wearing those stupid basketball things that come down to the knees, and other people like to wear ones that are,
Can
tighter.
we, so he's gonna get back to us. Sorry,
Okay.
he's gonna take that for the wording and what he thinks the updates need to be, and
Okay, and so we'll do the same thing with all of it. If you would take,
Yeah. And at least,
This-
let's at least entertain district provided uniforms.
When you say all of it, are you talking about?
all of
yeah, I disagree with
employee
that, but-
appearance. This was
I
all
know,
written
it's-
by Erica, and so, I think, wasn't it?
I think a large portion of it, and then Steve came along and made some modifications on
Yeah.
the looks of it.
Are you talking about employee appearance?
Yeah,
Okay.
so just that whole section. All right, so that's. Okay, so my pages were out of order. Okay, so I don't have anything else in chapter 7.
Well, okay, so you're looking at, sorry,
Okay.
so we're going back to this page, so you're gonna look at the rest of that page, or just the for lifeguards and swim instructors part?
I've got through 7.7.
Okay.
Yes, so all
Okay,
of
got it.
7.6.
All right, just making sure.
Okay,
Okay.
and I think, did you have any comments in the rest of chapter 7? Because I think,
Yep.
okay.
Let's see. I cannot read that.
Just throw that whole section away and start with somebody else's that works. Oof, that's
Yeah,
nice.
if he's looking, okay, so that one doesn't matter because he's looking at it, so I'll save that one. The 7.8, I just wasn't sure, so, well, actually, I am sure we probably need to add something for vaping there. Additionally, I believe that a policy, somebody can tell me if they know differently, but I believe it's not just within 25 feet of any public entrance, it's also any ventilation systems. Ventilation systems, yeah. So anything that intakes, perhaps what we've already defined out back over there isn't at risk for that, but it's basically any place where the human exhaust would be taken into our ventilation system, which could cause a problem for someone. So I just added something, ventilation, whatever. Yeah, and that maybe that's overdoing it.
No, I think, that's a good point.
Yeah, I had to look it up a number of years ago for something else, and
Just wanted to, 25 feet away from the building, I don't know.
yeah, that's Tony, from the building. Yeah, there we go. It covers.
Oh,
Just get away from us.
Yeah,
do we just want to say,
Yeah.
is prohibited throughout the workplace and within 25 feet of our building?
Of the building. Yeah.
Okay, instead of saying anything about state law.
Well, and actually, we do need to. Well, I guess we don't have any employees at this time anywhere else.
we're
Sorry, I
not
was just thinking
saying
about that. I'm like,
25 feet of the public entrance is what we say now. So you're saying
Right.
25 feet of the building.
Yeah.
Yes.
the smoking area doesn't need to be more than a chalk lane in the middle of a parking
No,
lot.
and that's,
It really
with
doesn't.
another board that I'm on, that's what we literally had to do was,
Stand in
you
line.
can smoke there.
Sorry.
And it was the like, sorry, but we have employees to worry about. So, yeah, that was part of it, was you can't just choose.
Well, and we could, if we wanted to provide for smoking area, we could put them out in the, where all the junk.
And
used to
it's
be,
already,
or-
it already says that somewhere. The exit through the back door of the facility and smoke out by the sheds, or at least 25 feet to the right of the back door. So we're saying 25 feet from the building though.
Yeah.
Go to the skate park.
And what do we need to say about vape? What do we
It
need?
just
Should be the same.
Smoking or use of tobacco?
smoking, vaping, or use of tobacco.
Ah, okay. And is that VAPING?
Yeah,
Okay.
Should we hit that at the top too, then no smoking vaping policy?
yeah, there you go.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's really tobacco and vaping, right? I mean, it says
Well,
use of tobacco
it
in any
says
form.
Does
smoking,
vape-
vaping, or use of tobacco in any form.
Right, but
So-
that 7.8 says no smoking policy.
Yeah, so we're gonna put no smoking, vaping, right?
Right,
Yeah.
but, or you could just put tobacco vaping policy. It's not a no smoking policy, by the way. Because if it was a no smoking policy, it'd say no
I think
smoking.
I don't know much about the vape, but I don't think the vape's even a tobacco. I think it's just like a
It's
nicotine
not,
salt
that's,
or something,
it-
right?
it's not, but even so, I mean, it's being restricted in other workplaces as well.
Exactly, absolutely.
So it shouldn't be considered any different.
No.
And so I would call it smoking vaping policy.
And take out the no.
Yeah, that's what I
okay.
would.
Got
Or
it.
tobacco/vaping policy, actually, that's what I meant.
Tobacco, smoking, vaping? Tobacco?
Just tobacco/vaping, whatever,
Oh.
whatever.
That works.
I see what you're saying. Okay. So, smoking, vaping, or use of tobacco in any form. So, and I know later we talk about drugs and you can't do drugs, but it's like, do we somehow need to define this better so that it's like you can't smoke marijuana either, or is smoking of anything forbidden?
Yeah, I think smoking anything, I mean, even if they're smoking their shoes, it would be obnoxious.
Well, I think here we're talking about tobacco and vaping. I think there are other things where we talk about drugs, legal or illegal.
Right.
And so,
Okay.
and so drugs are different from, I mean, the classifications are different, and so we need to keep them different.
Okay.
Because it's not the fact that we'll say, sure, go ahead and smoke pot 25 feet from the building. I'm fairly certain that our policy is not on the grounds, not on our property.
Okay. So we're gonna call it tobacco/vaping policy. And, okay. And I got those changes that we're gonna make. All right. What else?
Do we provide a cigarette can? Because it says we do. I mean, no, I'm just asking.
No, I know, that's fair, that's fair. I don't know.
That's a very good question.
I mean, I don't know if we have an ashtray or anything. Well,
No, I know, it's just so
I
funny,
grew
like,
up
button
many years
It's,
ago.
you know what, it's right next to the coin telephone box.
Back when Folgers used to have metal cans.
Oh my God.
Does Folgers come in plastic now?
Yeah, plastic with a handle, it's so weird.
Okay. What's next?
Just the next pay, personal telephone calls. I was confused by this.
Okay.
I think I'm trying to just sort it out. It just seemed like cell phone usage other than for district business is strictly prohibited for employees who are on duty. So cell phone usage for district business is okay? I don't quite understand. I mean, I don't think that there's probably a whole lot of, it just seems weird.
Unless they're out there on the pool deck, they're gonna check their phone. I don't care what we put in here.
I think this was primarily toward the people who are working on the desk and the
Yes.
people who are, the 17-year-olds. It's not necessarily,
Then I think the policy should be, phones should be put away and checked on breaks, as opposed to cell phone use for other than district business. Like, because most of the people are never going to use their cell phone for district business.
Yeah, I think you're
Okay.
right.
Yeah, I do.
Right, you do. Yeah, you do, but that's not, yeah.
You're an executive.
I can approve my own.
do you use your cell phone for district business?
Of course.
So, all right. Okay.
Only for the use of stuff that would otherwise be available, such as syncing it to the district email or the district Facebook, etc. I mean, right?
It's really hard, I think, to monitor this cell phone thing.
I think it's the expectation is that, I mean, and this is the case in most jobs, is that, especially an hourly job, you're gonna put your phone away. You can check it periodically, but you're not sitting there with your phone and every time something happens, it's the, like, you can check it on your break is the expectation.
Yeah.
And that's the, or gee, something came up or this, like, absolutely. But the expectation is that you're doing work.
Can you put cell phone usage won't interfere with job performance?
For employees shall, what was it that you said, shall put cell phones away when they're on duty, or?
I definitely didn't say that. But I think, I didn't. It's just something that they should be stored and, checked on breaks. I don't know. I mean.
Well, the lifeguards certainly don't have their phones. I mean.
Right.
And
But we would expect that if they took a break, that they could check it on their break.
Right.
Sure, go ahead. I mean, yeah.
Maybe, does the second line suffice? All staff will limit cell phone usage to break times and refrain from using cell phones in front of customers. Does that suffice?
I think that is much better than the first sentence.
We'll just then delete the first sentence and just leave it at all staff will limit cell phone usage to break times and refrain from using cell phones in front of customers.
I think that's fair enough, because if you're looking at your phone, you're obviously on break, right?
Yeah.
So,
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
All right.
I just had a question, and we don't necessarily have to answer it here, but electronic mail and internet use, I mean, what percentage of our employees even have access to that?
Only department heads and
Supervisors.
supervisors, sorry.
It's all right.
I'll have to retrain my brain extensively.
No, I know.
So just supervisors and recs would have access to district email, and then commissioners, of course. Internet use, front desk staff has access to that. Some of the lifeguards have access to a computer.
Okay. I was just curious, because I was like, how many people does this apply to?
Should we move it to the executive?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. But I think so in the second paragraph, I just found this really weird. Employees who have resigned and are terminated or laid off, fine with that. And commissioners who have resigned or had their term expire will not be allowed access to district computers. I'm not sure why we feel the need to mention, like, of course, if you are no longer in office, you wouldn't have access to your, but as well, like, this isn't, like, I'm not trying to say that we're exempted from rules in here, but it's not our book, like, it just seems unnecessary to put that. I think it is.
Because an employee that is no longer employed should be deleted, deleted access, and so should
Right, but I don't know that this is important for us to point out to our employees.
No, I don't think so.
About the commissioners?
Yeah, I just think it's...
or about the employees who have resigned. Because I think that the assumption would be...
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You quit or you get fired, you don't get to use,
Right, you're done.
So just delete that whole sentence.
I think so, yeah,
Okay.
that makes sense.
Yep.
And then I just added on C, email decorum and content. Keep in mind that you're using district property and representing the district, or you could take, it's not about, property is hardware. That has nothing to do with your decorum. I mean, it's like, well, you're using this computer, so somebody might know it. And like, no, it's about your behavior in what you create while you're using that hardware.
Do you want to then delete using district property and just put in representing the district?
Sure, that's fine.
All right.
What, that's under E?
Yeah, C, email, decorum, and content.
Yeah.
Down at the bottom of the page.
Yeah, and then it's not, we're taking out,
So when using the email system, keep in mind you are representing the district. So we'll delete the using district
Right,
property.
right.
Your comments must be appropriate to our business
Setting.
setting.
The all outgoing messages which do not reflect the official position of the district must include the following disclaimer. That just seems weird to me, but maybe, I mean, it just, like, so when is somebody gonna be, when does somebody need to use that? Like, that just seems like superfluous. If someone's communicating something that needs that disclaimer, they probably shouldn't be using their work email.
right. I agree with that.
So, I mean, I would hope, again, when we've talked about who has access to district email, I hope we don't have to, I hope that no one has ever felt the need to put that on something, and if they did, then they said, maybe I just shouldn't send it. So I think it should go.
You want to delete that whole sentence then?
All
Well,
outgoing messages.
Messages
Yeah,
which do
I
not
think so.
reflect. Okay.
So in other words, if we want to say something that doesn't reflect the district, we should use our own personal email.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. 7:14. I just, I thought that the bold, so you're kind of burying, I think you're kind of burying the lead. I think the bold sentence goes first.
Oh, okay.
And then it should say, wait a second, I'm trying to, necessary storage, and then that second sentence, which is currently the first sentence, should be something about necessary storage devices or something. I mean, right, we shouldn't have a huge need for this, but if so, then we're saying that the supervisor will provide you with something, but it's like, I don't know, maybe the necessary part is in there, but I mean, it makes it sound like, well, the way that it sounds right now, this is storage devices which have been scanned for viruses will be issued, not necessarily.
Oh.
Like, or as needed or as appropriate or something like that.
As needed.
Okay.
So the district will provide the thumb drive or whatever, is that?
I think
Yeah.
we're part of that, yeah, if one is necessary for
There
something.
are very few places where it would apply, but if you had a maintenance person working here for 7 years or something, and they had business contacts, et cetera, it would be fair enough for them to request their email as a public record, I suppose, right? So then the district would provide that
I'm
jump
not,
drive or whatever?
I think it would just be more of, we need to, you know what, I want to take this home and work on it, and the directors approved me to take this home. But the idea is more of, to me, is that people aren't bringing in random storage devices that could be infected with something. That's really what this is about. Is so that so that we don't end up with something. So in other words, don't bring your personal storage device and download something, because you could have some kind of garbage on there that costs us time or money.
Yeah.
That's what policies like this are for. So, you know, the key thing again, which is fine, meaning we'll come back to that. And I would honestly, like, okay, when it comes to the whole key deposit thing, you know what, if you have, and maybe you already do have a recommendation, that's cool, you know, that's fine. I'm trying to read my own writing, which is problematic. Yeah. That's the pages were out of order. So
yeah.
That's what it was. Okay, and so then 723. Wait, I don't know where all the other ones went.
Oh, they're past, they're like another page over.
Okay, gotcha. So then in 718, I know this is confusing, so you have to skip over the one page of 8s, and then go.
Key control, the last part of the key control policy?
718, whatever that is.
Okay.
Yeah, and I just crossed out administrative assistant because regardless of anything else, that isn't a title that we use at all.
You're right.
So that's that was it with that. Oh, except for, okay, so then 723, it was just, and this is, again, I don't think this is up for discussion right now, but we have to determine whether employee advisory service is back in scope or not.
Yeah.
It's something that we had before that we know we are not currently offering.
Oh, that's true.
Right, we need to determine whether that's in scope or not. So that needs to be a board discussion at the next meeting. Right, I mean, we've had many discussions about it, and as much as I don't love the idea of having yet another one, we need to talk about it.
Since it's in the, yeah.
Yeah. And then,
so now we go back to the beginning of chapter 8.
Yeah. No unlawful gratuities or bribes.
I think unlawful is required because you can take a gratuity, could be given to you that was, bribe is always unlawful, but a gratuity is not necessarily going to be unlawful. So I would say we need the unlawful in there because this is disciplinary action. I'm not going to discipline someone for taking it if they get a tip or a gratuity that's completely
Do we allow our employees to get tips?
I can't imagine that we do, but
I don't know why they would, but what if a parent loved their swimming instructor so much that they finally got little Jimmy to be able to swim the length of the swimming pool?
Then whatever they gave that person needs to be reported as income.
Oh, it's a gift. It's just a gift.
Like that happen. And we also have patrons that routinely bring us flowers for the front desk, or berries, or fruit from their fruit trees, or...
Yeah.
And I say that's just a gift. I mean, but I
That's a gratuity, I think. But I would leave unlawful, that's my point. Is that okay?
We're on this.
So
This chapter 8.
We went ahead and then we came back. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
Chapter 8, discipline and termination.
one with all the weird.
It's got a big long list.
So this one is transposed. So we're on here, and then we'll come back here, and then we'll move ahead.
Probably, yeah. It's
Okay.
Yeah, I know, it's so confusing.
And I'll put in the paragraph. And did you have anything on this page?
On which page?
8.1, page 1.
Oh, no.
Okay. Find 8.1. Oh, that must have been all of that unless we...
Well, on the opposite side is the rest of 8.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
So in 8.2, there's just
creative,
all those
but-
periods for no particular reason.
Oh, at
Oh,
the end.
that's so weird.
yeah.
Okay, I didn't even see those. Okay, got them. All right.
The only thing I wasn't sure of is on 8.5, like I just wrote, what about service closures? I don't know, I don't know what that's considered to be. And maybe that's that's a bigger topic that doesn't
What's
go
a
in here.
service closure?
My breakdown.
Oh. Okay.
Good example.
Right, I mean, it's weird, it came out of nowhere, no context whatsoever. No, that's, I mean, and we can come back to that, because I think it might be I think our expectation would be, while it might not be this long, we'll have service periods annually. I mean, we will have to.
And we do, and they usually will bring some of the workers in and pay them to do some of the grunt work if they were willing to do it. That's my what I remember from couple years ago when we did we closed down the pool. I don't know if we emptied it or not, but we were doing stuff.
So we continue, well, regardless of the hours part of it, we continue to consider people employees unless they have, in this case, submitted like resignation. Okay, then you know what, I think that's sufficient. So,
Okay.
Got it. Time check, we're now at 8:26. I would say let's get to, do you think we can get through the rest of this one? We obviously can't get both done tonight.
No, I think we can get through the appendixes, because a lot of them are just forms.
Okay.
So I think we can get through.
Okay, because that's where we're at now.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to make sure. Just before we move on, just because it's kind of a header thing. So Appendix K, harassment. Well, here's the thing. I don't believe that something we call a policy belongs in an appendix. I believe it deserves press in the document, because to me corollary documents go in an appendix. I think the policy needs to go in the meat of the document, because otherwise I think it's like, oh, there's that appendix, and it's like, no, this is pretty important.
It is important, and it does get press. I kind of took the main things and said it's not tolerated, and here's how we define sexual harassment. And it's like, but I don't know any 17-year-old that's going to read through it unless they're like, I think I'm being harassed. Let me look it up because I know I have it in that appendix.
I don't think the location is going to change their ability to find it. I don't think. I mean, either way, there's a table of contents or there's a list of appendices. It's either way, it's in the table of contents. I just feel like I feel like it, to me, it seems subordinate, and I find that concerning.
Okay, I don't. What do you guys think?
Well, I think we need to make it really clear, which I think including it in the, the policy. A lot of people don't think they have to read the appendixes or appendici or whatever it is.
Appendices.
Okay, thank you. Because some people, in this day and age, it's a lot more open, and people, especially females, are much more likely to be aware of their being harassed. But when I was young, you just got treated certain ways, and you just took it because it wouldn't have done any good to complain.
Okay, so you vote to put the whole policy in the body.
I think so.
Okay, do you want to leave it where it is? It's part of...
Where you have where you have harassment at the
Just put the whole thing right in there as section 2 point whatever it is, or...
I think so.
Here too. Is it in 3?
It's in 7.
7, okay.
Employee responsibilities and conduct.
Okay, I can move it back. Do you have Shane?
That's fine.
Okay. All right, I will just then delete the little section and just put the whole policy in there. Here. Okay.
Because I think it's a lot more important than say
it's wedged between some forms.
Report of an accident or transport of a minor.
Form. Yeah. Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's part of it. Yeah, that's the important.
All right. So just delete that from there. That'll be KLM. Okay.
So Appendix A, number 7. use some etiquette in lap lanes. Should this be explained somewhere? I realize these are approval rules, but should this be like defined somewhere slightly better than that, or is it available to? I mean,
there is a board
Okay.
there on the wall that has pictures.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you.
Number 11, the training pool is that thing, but Rex and I talked about it, everyone always calls it the kiddie pool, so unless somebody has an issue, I think we should just say kiddie pool, so
I mean,
everyone...
the state and the blueprints have me broken to calling it training pool, but it's the kiddie pool.
Everyone knows
Or
It's the kiddie
a
pool.
wading pool.
The first 100 times they ask me about the training pool, I'm like, what?
Yeah, it's like training pool.
Exactly.
So, and then the next sentence in that, number 11, children 6 years of age and under. So, good catch, thank you. And then diving area, no one may enter the diving area of the pool except by the diving board or rope, which I had not even realized that was there, but anyway. So, any other issues with that page?
I was confused. Okay, so sauna and hot tub, that number 1, it just is killing me. So all child, okay, so if you're between 7 and 12, it's the, so in 11 above, they call it a paying adult in a swimsuit and in the water. But down here, it's a responsible adult accompanied by a responsible adult observer. It just seems like that. First of all, that sounds creepy. Sorry, but it's just consistency as to like what is it like. Are we saying an adult? Are we saying a parent or guardian? Wouldn't it be the same thing?
So kids 6 and under have to have an adult physically in the water with them.
Yeah.
Kids 7 through 12 in the hot tub, they have to have an adult near them supervising, not necessarily in the hot tub.
Okay.
So the parent or person supervising can be sitting on the bench at
Which
the
is
edge.
why they said observer, but
I think putting the word supervised by an accompanying adult or like something, because I mean that just it sounded weird, and then so the 12 to 17 shall not use hot tub alone. How is that different from the 7 to 12? Because that doesn't make sense to me either.
So kids, youth 12 to 17 can go in with a buddy.
another 12-year-old.
Coming with your friend, you can go in with your friend.
Okay, gotcha.
And why could a 12-year-old
You can faint
not go?
if you go in and you go in too long, you can faint and slide under the water and you're by yourself. No one sees you go under.
So an old person, if they faint, can go under?
Yeah, but you're going to feel yourself going under, so you'll know enough to say something. It's hoped.
But technically, that would be 7 to 17 because.
Can we go into the diving area too when we get a chance?
Well, can we finish this one? Well, because then the other. Okay, but a 7 to 12-year-old can be in the hot tub alone.
They can be in with an adult supervisor.
Well, but the supervisor doesn't have to be in the hot tub.
No.
Okay.
And that's been one of those rules that there's been some.
Okay, so you understand why I find it weird, but okay. So, but if it works the way that it is, other than I would just the supervisor word kind of makes me feel. So
I changed it to all children between 7 and 12 shall be supervised by a responsible adult.
Yeah.
That sounds better.
And so maybe the 12 to 17, would it be okay if we change that to with a buddy or an accompanying adult or something like that?
Yeah,
like, I don't want to overdo it, but
Absolutely.
I was like, it just seems weird. Okay, sorry.
It's
Thank
okay.
you. Sorry, and I know you wanted to go back.
I just didn't want to forget. You
Yeah.
good there? The number 2 there, or rope. Do we want to go rope or do we want to go ball swing? And then the other question was real quick. We're obviously not barring the use of the start blocks. Do we want to make some notation in there that for swim practice? They are allowed to be used at some times. Do we need to include that, or is that getting too wordy?
They're not used during open swim.
They're not during, but
They're
this
not allowed to be
is,
used
but
during
this
open
is,
swim.
but it doesn't say for open swim, right? That's
Well,
what I'm saying.
this is the generic rules, and so those rules will, when they're doing their swim practice, it is going to change.
Do we need to include during normal operation or anything like? I don't know. That was a question.
I don't know.
I'm not sure what the question is.
So if we changed it to ball swing, for instance, it would say no one may enter the diving area of the pool except by the diving board or ball swing. We're obviously not barring the use of the start blocks, but with that wording, we almost are.
Well, we are, because we do not allow the use of those during lap swim or open swim.
Can't you just dive in from the side?
Correct.
Or
Correct.
jump in from
But
the
it,
side?
but it doesn't say nowhere
Yes.
that that's.
We're not even compliant right now because those are supposed to be covered.
Yes.
The diving boards?
They're usually covered with
Starting
those.
blocks.
No,
Oh.
that's not legal. I mean, sure, they are, you're right, but.
They're ugly.
we're
They're
never-
legal, but they're ugly.
We're never in compliance. You remember, at the
Yes.
other pool, they were covered. They had a full cover on them.
I mean, I think the cone meets the legal requirement, but it's ugly, right?
Well, then we need to,
I think in this case, though, I think we're talking about our operation of the pool. If what we're talking about is someone else who's using it for rented space, I mean, it doesn't mean that that rules don't apply to them, but it's for a different usage. I think that's the way I look at it. So I think that's why, to me, that we don't need to mention that here, because that's what I think of it. But I understand your point, and so it's kind of a, well, why this thing and not that thing? And it's like, I get that, and that's sort of like.
I just didn't know if we needed to include another half a sentence or something, that was all. Just since it didn't specify anywhere that it's only
maybe
for-
we just need to take out that whole line. Because,
Maybe, and they just gotta do what the lifeguards tell them to do, maybe.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
because there are many ways that are legal to, I mean, I believe legal to go in, like jumping off the side or diving off the side.
Well,
But if the lifeguard tells you, not to.
Yes. Well, so it might be even easier than that. So when they divide it up, it's those 4 lanes in the deep end. Only one person at a time is allowed in there no matter what. Maybe it's that simple. They only allow one person at a time in the diving part of the pool.
And that should be part of the lifeguard's instruction. Right.
Yes. Yeah.
Which I mean,
I agree with you. I
always
think
seen when I've
this
been
one
here,
could
I
come
think.
out because it just seems to.
Okay.
It seems to over. I
Number
don't know.
2, we're deleting number 2?
I think so.
Okay,
Yeah, it's easier. Yeah, it's easier.
yeah, I agree.
Because I think 1 is important, I think 2 is important, and I guess, I mean 3 and
Yeah.
4,
I think it should also, and I don't see it anywhere specifically spelled out, but they cannot go off the diving board in a life jacket. And yes, we've had people try.
Yeah, that is.
oh, I believe that.
Now the goggles.
But you don't allow back diving?
The no goggles are there.
It's
and
too dangerous.
and it's in bold.
No,
Is
not if
there a
you
reason?
just
Because
dive
everybody
backwards.
So.
It's not, no, I used to do a back dive that
No.
was dangerous, where you flip
I've seen so
around.
many use it going off the
Yeah,
diving board.
it's
though.
too close, but just a regular.
Can we? Sorry, guys. Can we?
The other question I had there was the no goggles is in bold, and I've seen so many people go off the diving board with goggles on.
I've had it explained to me that it's something to do with pressure,
Uh-huh.
and if they hit the water wrong with the goggles, it can cause eye damage.
It's true. Yeah.
So do we add to that? Would it be sufficient? You can never wear goggles, earplugs, or life jackets while diving.
I like that.
Isn't that what it
That's what it
says?
said.
No, life jackets, we're not on there yet.
life
Yeah, that's what
jackets.
Julie
So
asked us.
add.
Asked to be included.
So
Yeah,
never
watch
wear
the
goggles,
diving team.
earplugs, or life jackets while
I
diving.
watched the diving team wear life jackets.
And the diving team also does back dives.
Yeah.
And dives that I would not say.
And the reason they do is because they're smacking because they're trying new dives, so they're smacking the water, so they just wear a life jacket. So they don't.
Oh, that makes sense. But these are for the normal people.
So number 3, this is slightly petty, but shower before and after use. Maybe this doesn't need to be stated, but I changed it to shower before use and after use if using other facilities. Right? If somebody's leaving the building, they don't need to shower. Right? Like you just came out of the sauna, you better
Oh.
shower. Like, and maybe we don't need to say that, but.
Then we need